Okay, so good morning again, and forgive me, I'm a little bit sick. I ended up spending the whole weekend partying and celebrating my birthday. I had multiple parties, so I kind of burned out a lot of energy, but it was fun. It was recharging at the same time as discharging. But so if my voice is a little like raspy, uh, then you know why. And if I'm sniffling and coughing, you pretty much can figure it out. But just wanted to give you guys a follow-up since last week. So I told you I've been positioned long on oil, and man, great positioning with what's going on with the Ukraine and Russia. I've been telling you that oil is a commodity that is political, so they're going to do things to always rally the price. Also, politicians like to tax it. So you see what's going on in France. You've got this yellow vest revolt that's just been destroying the country, and making Europe fracture a bit because of Brexit issues and Merkel issues, and basically all it is European Union, like I've always said, is the new Soviet Union. It's the new communist state, and they tried to make something that is like the United States without thinking it through. And whenever you adopt socialist or communist type policies, you get what's coming to you. And so we have this climate change crap that they keep selling to everybody. Bernie Sanders, the Ocasio-Cortez, and all these other fucking communists that, sorry I cussed about it, but they pissed me off. They come in there and they talk about climate change and how they're going to solve it. And really, climate change is a con they use to tax people, okay? So the revolt in France is over a gas tax. And the gas tax is something that the state actors put in, so that, in other words, the politicians, the government, put in to kind of discourage using fossil fuel. Well, fossil fuel is the most abundant fuel we have at this point. It's one of the main technologies we use. I'm all for taxing it if you use the money to develop new forms of energy production and technology, so that we have more efficient forms of energy and less pollutive. I'm all for that. Don't get me wrong. Because who wants to live in a smoggy, polluted environment? Nobody does. And, yeah, that stuff does kick out gas, like gases that are toxic and things like that. But we're getting more and more efficient with our hydrocarbon usage and burning. But what happens is you get these leftist politicians that put these taxes on, and they end up taking that money and reappropriating it somewhere else, And people eventually get tired of paying taxes and not seeing any results. Global warming is a scam. Carbon dioxide does not cause earthquakes, and yet we're having earthquakes, right? Well, gee, what could be causing those earthquakes? We're also having fires. What could be causing those fires? It's not carbon dioxide, because last time I checked, oxygen is the fuel for fires, not carbon dioxide. If you think carbon dioxide is a fuel for fires, you need to go back to science class. Also, volcanoes are erupting. Last time I checked, carbon dioxide does not cause volcanic eruptions. Last time I checked, when there's a lot of carbon dioxide on the earth, a lot more plants form. And if you have warming, then that means there's more sunlight. And when I bring up the sun, that's when we get into the real meat of the matter of global warming or climate change. Climate has always changed. We've had ice ages, and we're in another one because of solar cycles. Solar cycles, solar meaning sun, means the sun goes through cycles like everybody. It has its up days and its down days. And for the sun, a day is different than for our day. The sun has a lot longer periods of time where it will be bright, and then all of a sudden it'll go into a period of dimness or darkness, where we're starting to enter one of those solar minimums, where we are going to go through an ice age. And people are not preparing for that. So we're going to have periods of time where we're going to have a long period of time of crop damage because of a lot of rain. A lot of rain brings a lot of fungus. And overwatering tends to kill plants. And cold weather tends to kill plants. Some plants don't do well in freezing temperatures, like citrus fruits, for example, or strawberries. You're going to lose a lot of crops from this global cooling that's going to happen. And I thought carbon dioxide output is supposed to warm everything. No, the sun is the thing that's affecting everything. Because guess what? There are no people on other planets, and the other planets' weather systems are changing. If you look at Jupiter, that hurricane eye that everybody likes to look at has changed in size. Well, that can't be man-made carbon and global warming, carbon dioxide that's causing it. If you still subscribe to leftism, I'm going to put it straightforward to you, you are just retarded. Your brain doesn't function. You're dumb. You're lazy also because you don't take the time to go out and research for yourself to find out the answers. And so you just subscribe to these really confident con artists that come out and they talk a good one. Hey, I made all this money in Bitcoin, right? You go and you buy into that real quick. I did a video on how to recognize con artists. If you haven't learned from that video, then, or if you haven't learned over time by losing enough money by buying into con artists, then I can't help you. But the rest of the world is starting to figure it out. They're separating from the globalism that has infected the minds of people, and the carbon controlling people like Al Gore, who has a big old mansion where he leaves all the lights on. He talks about reducing your carbon footprint while he increases his. And what do you know? He started a Chicago climate exchange, where this is the con about taxing things. They'll tax your production of carbon dioxide, but then they'll trade it so that you can give that credit if you're underproducing carbon dioxide. You can give that credit to another business that's producing carbon dioxide if they'll pay for it. So basically all you're doing is you're just transferring the amount of carbon dioxide that can be produced. It does not change the amount of carbon dioxide that's being produced, because people will produce carbon dioxide anyway. Industries will produce carbon dioxide. All you're doing is you're transferring money from one pocket to the other. So if someone produces more carbon dioxide than someone else, they're going to pay a penalty on it. Is that incentive for them to reduce it? Maybe, maybe not. It may be cheaper for them to just pay the carbon tax than to do all of the infrastructure changes in their business that will bring their carbon production into compliance so that they can start getting credits too. It's irrelevant at that point. It's like in California. We voted for, Californians are just so stupid. I want to leave, but the thing is, where am I going to go? Because I realize a lot of the leftists that come here and have destroyed our state have realized they can't make money in this state because the income is too low. Why? Because they voted for all these stupid taxes. They agreed with all the Democrats to tax things. And then what do? They can't make any money in this state because there are no jobs. The income is too low. So they go look at other states where the income is much higher. Guess which states those are? Conservative states. And they move there. And then you get all the same stupid gun control and taxation, because the dummies vote for that stuff there too. And they don't realize by their voting for that, they're destroying that state too. And then what are they going to do? They're just going to move to the next one. So by my moving out of California, it doesn't matter. It just buys me more time before the inevitable happens. If people don't start waking up to their stupidity, it doesn't matter where you go. It's going to be everywhere. And Europe is waking up to it because they've already destroyed themselves. Open borders, open everything. They've allowed everyone into their states to destroy them. And now they're having revolutions. They allowed the governments to take their guns away. So guess what? All they can do is put on yellow vests, march in the streets, and set fire to things. And so in the end, when you have gun control, you can't defend yourself. So you have to march in different ways. And what are you going to do? What is the government going to do? Ban protests? Well, I got you here. It's not a protest. It's anger. It's anger at the policies that were instituted by the con artists. Okay? So Anyway, here in California, we voted for this plastic tax, right? You get plastic bags in stores. They wanted to reduce the amount of trash that was being left, plastic bags in the oceans and everything. They used this noble goal of reducing all the trash that's out there. And so we taxed plastic bags in grocery stores. Well, everybody agreed to that. I didn't, because I knew it was a con. But everybody, the dummies, go, oh, that sounds so great, without thinking about it. And what happened? The plastic bags didn't reduce. They got thicker, because guess what? Now the customers, the taxpayers, are paying for the production of the bags, whereas it was the stores before that were paying for the production of the bag. So now all the cost has been transferred to the consumers, you idiots. You're paying for more for your groceries, you dummies. And you're not reducing the plastic at all. All you've done is you've transferred the cost of who's going to pay for making the plastic. And now we've got designer shopping bags, where now instead of reducing the trash, we've made the trash much nicer and thicker, so that when a whale or a bird swallows it, it's a much thicker plastic, you idiots. So these gas taxes are the same thing. You pay tax on the fuel consumption, and guess what? All you're doing is raising the cost of the fuel that you buy. And what do the governments do? They take that money and they put it into their leftist causes. Well, what is a leftist cause? Funding a migrant crisis and caravan that's going through Mexico right now. And that has already gone through Europe and is pissing off everybody there. And you got Hillary Clinton coming out and going, oh, we need to stop supporting illegal migration or open migration because it's feeding populism. Yeah, you dummies, it's feeding populism because you're pissing off everybody. This is why it's so, thank God, Hillary Clinton never made it to presidency. And if you vote for that kind of person in the future, oh man, God help you. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point, because there's nowhere to go. There are idiots everywhere. I'm surrounded by dummies. But anyway, man, really. And if you're offended by this and you shut it off already, if you haven't watched to this point, you're part of the problem. You're one of the dummies, because you don't like to hear that you're stupid for having voted for that stuff. You get offended so easily, and that's why you don't change. This is why fascism is so bad. This is why communism is so bad. This is why censorship is so bad. You stop the opposition from talking, and you could probably learn something from that opposition. But no, you don't want to hear it because it hurts too much and offends you too much to hear the truth about something. It's like, oh, I see that there's a bicycle there and there's no seat on that bicycle. There's a big pole sticking up. And you're about to run and jump on that bike. And I warn you and I say, hey, if you run and jump on that bike, you're setting yourself up for some hurt. And you turn to me and look and say, shut up. Shut up. Don't tell me that. I'm going to do what I want to do. And you run and you jump. And then you get a big old bike pole up your butt. Whose fault is it? Is it my fault? Because I was offensive to you? Because I turned you off to the truth? Just because you didn't like the presentation? And you labeled me a racist and a xenophobe because your skin color is different than mine and you just wanted to jump on the bike? But I wanted to protect you. I didn't care about your skin color. But you still labeled me a racist, a xenophobe, a fearmonger. It was the truth. So this is what fascism does. And then they label you a fascist for warning them. No, fascism comes in and shuts down the opposition, right? I want everyone to be able to speak. I don't try to stop Ocasio-Cortez and Sanders and these communist idiots who like to relabel communism as social democracy or democratic socialism of all the insanity. Socialism is socialism. I don't stop them from talking. I want them to talk. I want you to vote for them and see how stupid you are so that you learn. Implement their strategies and their suggestions so you see how dumb they are. All right, well, anyway, so all of this is coming to a head economically. And like I said, at some point, right now, I believe in the dollar milkshake theory. We are the first country in the world, in the United States, that has a central bank that has decided to tighten their quantitative monetization or buying of bad assets. They bought up all the bad assets from 2008 that caused the crash. And now they are stopping that buying, and they're starting to sell those assets. Well, guess what? You're going to start to have a depression that happens because you're having credit collapse. They're destroying credit, okay? And then you get a liquidity crisis, okay, like I said, where people become afraid to lend because credit quality starts to go out the window. It's not as grouped together as it was in 2008, but you're still going to have a credit collapsing that's going to start to happen. So you're going to have a lot of slowdown in the economy. And then at some point, the dollar's value is going to be so high that you have economic activity stop. Politicians can't have that, right? Because if economic activity stops, your pocketbook stops. You stop making money. You get laid off. The businesses go out of business. And then you start to point fingers, right? So you're not going to like the politicians, and you're going to want to remove them from office and change up. So politicians won't have any of that. So what they're going to do is they're going to support devaluing the currencies at some point. And the rest of the world will already start that. They interviewed Putin, and Putin, they're like, why are you ditching the dollar? And Putin basically said, I'm not ditching the dollar. The dollar is ditching us. That was pretty masterful. But yeah, they are ditching the dollar. They're just transferring the blame again. And so you're going to see the world reserve currency go in the toilet. Right now, we still have it. So we have the advantage of being able to print money at everybody else's expense. And so the emerging markets, when their currencies collapse, they grab dollars. So you're going to see a dollar continue to rally until the rest of the world gets tired of that. And they start doing things to protect their currencies. So once they start raising interest rates and they get into a quantitative tightening cycle, you're going to see a devaluation of the dollar. And at that point, this is where I'm going to change my strategy. Right now, my strategy is negative the economy long term. And it's geared towards certain assets. I like long-term bonds. And yesterday, I'm glad I said long-term bonds because it triggered a memory. Yesterday, we had a slight inversion of the yield curve. Okay, the yield curve is the curve that shows the differences in yield from government bonds, from short-term bonds to long-term bonds. Typically, your curve will go from low yield on short-term up to high yield on long-term, right? Okay, and that's a normal curve. And then you start to get an inverted curve when people start to become unsure of what's going on. So they they get worried about the short term. And so they start to sell short-term securities, or debt instruments, I should say, and the yield will rise on those. So the short-term yield gets higher than the long-term, and you get an inverted yield curve because people get scared. They don't want their money in short-term. They don't know what's going to happen, so they start to look longer-term. And you get an inverted yield curve. They start buying the long end, and the long end, the yield starts to drop because more and more people are coming into it. Okay, so you get the inverted yield curve, and that is a major sign of recession, which we've already been in, and they've been basically manipulating the yield curve so that people don't see that there's a recession. So I'm starting to see things turn south. Today, the stock market is down, not that much, but it's down. And so I've used the rallies to short the markets, like I've been saying. Every time I hear that, oh, we're going to have a new record high in the Dow or in the SP or in the NASDAQ, it's time to short. Use those opportunities to, quote, sell into strength. Now, this is not financial advice. This is me talking out loud the way I talk to myself in my mind. I say, oh, use this opportunity. When I say you, I'm not talking to you specifically, unless you want to adopt my philosophy. I'm still not talking to you as if I'm giving advice. I'm just saying, this is the way I do it. I go, you need to buy right now, Chris. And I go, all right, Chris, I will buy, right? You need to short right now. All right, Chris, I will short right now. All right, so when I say you, I'm not talking to you. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm talking to me. This is the way I talk to myself. So I sell into strength. So when the markets rally, I will short them because I see the stock market as very weak. and in need of a correction. I see it overvalued. I see the real estate market the same way due to all the credit buying that has gone into these assets. And most people are speculators. They want to put money into something and expect a change in price to rise so that they can sell it at a higher price and collect the capital gain. No one really is investing. Investing means you put it into an asset at a certain capitalization rate so that you're going to get a return on the money you've invested. So it's immediate. Like real estate, you put your money in the real estate and you're getting rent payments every month. That is a form of investment where you're steadily getting paid back. It's annuitizing in a certain form or fashion. But most people don't buy real estate that way. They buy it as a speculative vehicle where they buy for price changes. So because most people invest that way, and when I say invest, I mean they commit their funds into a speculative price changing type environment. Credit has influenced the markets greatly. And when they can't pay their credit bill, their credit card bill, all that stuff's collapsing. And as interest rates rise, all that stuff's collapsing. So I'm telling you, long-term negative, my view has been right on point. Now you have to be alert and watch things. You have to watch because, like I said, once Europe starts raising interest rates, the euro will start to appreciate against the dollar, and the dollar will start to lose some of that appreciative value. And we're hearing more that they're dumping the dollar as the world's reserve currency. So the dollar at some point is going to start to lose value, but right now it's sucking up a lot of value. I don't know how long that's going to last. You just have to you have to just watch it and be observant. And, you know, it could be a month, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. I don't think it'll extend beyond 5 years, but you have to be alert and watch. And you're going to see things like cryptocurrencies reverse when that happens, because people will try to get out of the dollar. Because like I said, right now emerging markets are grabbing dollars, but that's because it's the easiest thing to get right now that they can trust. But at some point they're going to think about it and they're going to say, you know what, the dollar is controlled by a central authority. I want something decentralized, and cryptocurrencies are decentralized. So now could be a good buying time for cryptocurrencies. I have acquired some cryptocurrencies, but right now I'm focusing on other things like food and water for some hard times, you know, and agriculture. And I committed to oil, and oil has done well, but oil in the dollar milkshake theory is going to get hurt still. So if things calm down over Russia and Ukraine, oil could plummet like a rock again. So I need to take my profits and get out of oil again. I'm letting it ride a little bit. Today it's rallied a lot again, and I may use this time to start to convert my oil holdings into long-term government treasuries. And then commodities during that time when the dollar crashes will be so awesome. So again, I need to go look at the bond market today and see what the yields are. I got out of corporate high yield junk bonds. That paid me off very well back when I was in it, but the time has come where now credit is going to collapse and you're going to have a lot of contraction in business. So high yield corporate bonds are super, super risky. I would not be in that at all anymore. And I wouldn't even touch it with a freaking 30-foot pole. So opportunities are abounding if you know where to look. And opportunities to short are abounding if you know where to look. But always keep in mind, everything we do is somewhat speculative. You don't know the future. No one knows the future, right? No one knows what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Some people get pretty close and they're somewhat consistent with it. I'm pretty close and pretty consistent, but still, I don't know everything. So sometimes the best thing to do is just to buy food for your family, water for your family, clothes for your family. Make sure your bills are paid, you're not in debt, and it's not too late to do those things. So anyway, that's my message to you guys. If you like what the message I'm giving, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when my next video comes out. I try to do at least one video a week, but most importantly, I should say, share. Get my subscriber levels higher so that I can reach more people. YouTube censors things. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the message because I benefit when more people are educated. Thomas Jefferson said, educate the population so you can ensure your blessings of liberty, right? And remain vigilant, right? Vigilance and education are the main things, something that we all should focus on. Being a vigilant, watching the people that we elect, watching how things work out, and constantly educating ourselves so that we can make the proper decisions in the future for the betterment of society. And so once again, things like global warming, if you really educate yourself about science, you'll know that's a scam, and they're preying off of stupidity of people. So please share so that other people know. And I love you guys. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I'll probably do it again in the future, but still, Merry Christmas just in case. Happy holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate. Have a great and prosperous end of the year, and I wish you a happy and prosperous and healthy new year into 2019. And may we all make great wealth so that we can be the leaders of the new leaders of this world and help people to survive and to alleviate some of the suffering that other people are experiencing so that we can get rid of these bastards that are just stealing from everybody. Take care.